Travel, travel, travel is the game, is the plan. It's all about understanding how to use connections to basic, intermediate, and advanced high signal and business location line conditions, knowing exactly what we're doing through provision. Sure, you understand your clocking center is all levels of view. How you use it is its calculation to its position. So today in class, you guys are going to be traveling through 196 line center locations of C positions, which is all line connections to the high system. Now, it's in modification circles, rotation to its position. So it's truly understanding that you're in a calculation all levels of a hopper. Now, that hopper is position, location, and its directions. Now, as we sync into position locations, you have to understand what a hopper is. It's all modified through you. It hops, tries in location to its connections. Coming into locus, high position locations. Understanding the lotus of its position locations. 3-line position of direction. Okay? Knowing exactly what you're doing on your journeys and missions gives you all levels of getting out of its maze. But the importance is to understand what you're doing through its travel. It's not just seeing the travel of you, it's knowing what you're traveling through and how to get through it to its location. All right? So, how's everybody doing? Everybody ready? Everybody ready? Lindsay, Van, Gypsy, Terry, Don, Michael, Johnny, Amby, Eric, Jill, Amy. Let's go communications. Misty, True Light, Cammy, how's it going? Now we got background interference. I put an energy hub line interference around its position location, so you can hear a little bit of buzz. That's just the weed whacker guy. We got residential here all the time, maintenance. Lucy, how's it going? Yeah, so be ready on position, location, and directions. Now I've already written Highline Center, calculation position. All right, so as we go in communication, we are going to be traveling into this line condition. It's all set in position. 10 line center, location hopper. Know exactly location of the tail. 2 position line centers, 3 in activation string. So if you look really, really close, you can see the tripod. All right, so travel line center and position locations. Now this is code seeing locations, calculations. Now your quiz is all based on how you see yourself through your own timeline, okay? To its position, its clocking system. You know exactly how to go through your timelines and all of its equation, right? All at once. So truly understanding how you go from 644 all the way through a 24 signal, knowing exactly you're going in position, but you're changing your Merkaba second per second per second per second. You have 60 seconds per minute location. So how many times have you changed your thoughts in that direction? Okay. Okay. Now setting the ground interference, code signal and position location directions. Okay. Setting the signals to the grounds. You've got rainbow activation stream, ring calculation, right? Now, this is where it's going to blast off in high interference locations, all right? So in calculation, you go into H, okay, equal line center locations to L, okay, equals line center locations of L, okay, hopper, okay, locus, lotus. It's in position of directions, circle its position locations, all right, crew unit line center, and squads are going to go into the basic. Anything above line center location, the GFL and rebellion, is going to go in position the direction locations into intermediate in direct line center and interference location to all levels of ascending, ascended, and communication ascension gods are going to go into the advanced level. Okay, communication system location and position. All right, as we go in calculation line system, setting up the tripod communication line system, line cross and down sequence. Okay, coming into all line position to its diamond. Getting ready to get in calculation high stream. Now we change position of directions. Goes in upline signal in position location into a downline center. Now it rotates its position location to its ground position location. Right? So as you guys are in high center line conditions, changing the sun graph information locations, particle light change in high rotation line system. 2 open door windows, one here and one here, track location, right? So you start here, your position comes out at this end line center. There's never an end sequence locations. So time jumping, time clocking, hopping through calculation to its balancing wave line system, exactly through location. So in your position locations, I'm opening up the portal locations in first line center in position of directions to the outline condition. Okay, so in high line center, you guys are going to go through a tube interference. Now its position location of its directions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 circle locations. All right. Sonar is coming into high rise, high division location of tactic view, setting the securing line position of directions, right? 6 position locations. All right. Graphing screen, cross signals into red position location of securing line positions aligned. Okay. Open all position of directions. Okay. Setting signals, code signaling interference locations. So 30-minute on a high interference and position locations. I'm going to track its center line conditions of 62 views into high center of 6 positions of thumbs up. Rotation clocking center 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Initiate. All right. You guys are skyrocketing line center interference. Okay, so you got 30 minutes on clock line interference location. Time is proceeding. Done by equation. All right, so you guys are in high center line interference. 196 in position locations, country line channels, and high interference locations. Hopping through communications of jump scars to high position location, one direction to the next. Knowing exactly where you're going through H, high center line conditions already. High interference location, line conditions, right? Channel lines, position, location, directions. All code signals in high force line. Now let's go back in calculation how this is set up. All right. Trinity is standing the zip zap zoom. What does that mean through equation line conditions? Right. So it's all about understanding direct and location. You go this way because bees, they levitate. They don't fly. Do you realize every time they fly, they use their perception locations into the Merkaba? So they're creating shapes. So if you get a bee, this is interesting location. Here's a bee. Right? So we get a bumblebee, bumblebees, hornets, worker bees, queen bees. It's all calculating line conditions. All right. You got hornets. There's so many dragonflies. They're all in the same instinct line center interference of insects in position of directions. All right. So it's really cool. You get a bumblebee here. Now you understand why bumblebee is yellow and it has black lines in that calculation, right? So it modifies its position, location, and directions. What is a bumblebee? Right? There's a bumblebee. Okay. Now you understand why it zip zap zooms in correlation. Okay, because we're in the insect communication line system. So we'll graph line center, it goes G, G, G. Right? So it's amazing how, see how it's creating? It's all through vibration line center. So if you come and track through a bee or hornet or any line conditions, you have to understand the divergent location of light and how it tracks its line condition, its position. So you're in calculation, you're right here, okay? You're in security. So you're automatically changing line center locations of levels, okay? You're in red, that's you, right? You're in security, right? That's red zone. So you automatically scan because it's coming at you, right? Because it's going from here to here to here. It's trying to recognize you. That's what it does. It's trying to recognize you. It's trying to see if you're a flower, trying to see if you're pollen. Because remember, they see you through dimensional light. They don't see you in a physical line. They only see you in dimension. So in calculations, you change your graph line centers into blue position to voice location of its grid. You set its signal and position of directions into the B. Because blue is a voice line. So it's that signal location its position. So you send it back to the B. And the B comes across it to its location, right? So it understands its position line center. The B automatically puts up its position location to its force line. It puts up its force field. All right. So once it understands your position location, it changes its voice line center to blue, same color, to its position. Now you can use telepathy to the bee. It won't bother you. So it's interesting how you lose all line connections to all line position locations. So it's 8 direction line center infinity position to its vibration line connections. It opens all communication system. All right. So once it gets in that line center, you automatically communicate to its telepathy, one to another. Ooh-ah, right? So once it gets connected to your line center, your graph interference, and you are no threat to the bee or anything that you interact with, it will channel off in position out through equation. Okay. So, and again, too, you have to understand where the bee is coming from, what dimension, what time, okay, what's the vibration at, right? So it's about balancing frequencies of everything, not just the grounds and powers and atmospheres of you inside, but everything that you interact with, cats and dogs, snakes, you know, connecting to a cow, a horse, a cheetah, right? So it's all probable to understand calculation. Why do we have a cheetah? Why do you have elephants? Why do we have monkeys? Why do we have chimpanzees? There's a reason for everything, because they all live on dimensional vibration. They have their instincts. They know exactly what's going on with you through your behavior. And that's how they recognize you in its position to its directions to its sonar line connection. Right? You have to balance the frequency of the bee or anything you interact with through sonar, knowing exactly what the bee is at through levitation. So you have to levitate to communicate with the bee. You can't fly. The bee doesn't understand flying. It only levitates. See? Only levitates. See? See what I'm doing? Creating. See? It's amazing. I just put my finger there and I create things. See? It's travel, right? But it's all through levitation location. So, and when you come into birds, you have to understand the frequencies of its vibration locations. Anything high interference, calculational lines, anything on the ground line center automatically starts position location of your direction to your reality of 5th dimension. So insects and bugs are in position between 5 and 7th dimension. Anything above line center location of high line center, the more it gets in position of weight and mass in cats and dogs goes into 8th and 10th and 12th dimension. Anything above that hits the ground line center in position of direction of height in flying recognition goes from on-line center locations into 15 to 20 to 28 to 30 dimensional line condition of signals. So it's all about balancing you in all line direction, right? Because the one thing you have to look at is how to control your antennas and your position locations to your high centers of tripods. Okay? Because that's all you are. It's just a T reception location to its calculation. All right? So your eye is not an eye. It's a path. Okay? So the eye can travel high line center interference out of direction location. So the eye is an XT1000 line, teleportation unit. It travels position location of directions. Okay? So it's interesting how you look at the TV line. Now you have to understand circuit locations. This is where it comes into X line center. Overbox communication, override, overdrive, calculate, modify. Oscillogics, high interference line conditions, logistic location 2 is psychosis location of its channel. Now you have to understand the position location, how to use the chromosomes in high center locations to the red cells and the white cell location to its position. That alone puts perception in your Schumann resonance of vibration locations, guys. Okay? So it's important to understand these things when you're going through activation. Okay? So the activation pings the position location of its directions. Right? It high signals into the ground line center to the tripod location, comes up position location to its flux capacitor, and then channels down in high line conditions across signal. that opens all position locations of directions to 2 panel line centers. Opens all communication to its compilation to a graph line rotation. It opens all channel line sent to security measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay? Boxed in, protected through eye position. So it's important to understand these things, how you use yourself. Okay? Every time you travel, try to find your balance on every level that you interact with an outside position. Communicating with your car, communicating with the tree, communicating with the road, communicating with the strips of the road. It's white, it's color, it's marked. Anything that marked is a crop circle. I bet you didn't know that. Multipass. It doesn't have to be a circle to be a crop circle. Everything that's on the ground system is communication. And it's all digitalized in its position location of its directions. So let's say we go through a road graph. Let's go in calculation. Setting a road. All right, here's a road. There's a road. Okay. So you have to go in perspective on what you're doing. So once you get into that, you come into a line, right? Okay. See the direction? From there to there. Okay. So that's a telephone pole. Right? And then you got a road. This is a crop circle right here. These are crop circles. Why, you think it has to be a circle? No. Everything on the ground is communication to electrical light connections to all levels of a telephone pole, right? All communication, right? All communication. All communication, right? All communication. Back to where it is. See the intelligence? Do you see the intelligence? Now, if you understand how to use electricity, is all levels of you. So let's say you're a piece of pie. Okay, so let's open the pie. Pie's here in center position. Okay, center position locations, all right, times pi times calculation. Now, let's strip in and high interference to its flux capacitor location. Let's start with that, right? You guys refer that as the peace sign, right? So this is truly stating where you have to use diversion location of attack the high system, knowing exactly what you're doing with the high interference. Calculation to Spider-Man. So you have the antenna. You need the antenna because you need communication. And you need the road graph, which is your neckline center. There's the intelligence. Hello. Right? So interest in how you use position location at levels. Make sure you're traveling in the right direction, location of clocking. So it has an antenna, and that's how it communicates with you. Back and forth. Right? So we already know that. It's pretty simple. You have an antenna, but understanding the graph of U is the X-line center location to its flux capacitor. Changes coloration to a rain graph location. And signal position. So it automatically lines its position locations, right? This is where it comes into code weaving location, right? Right through the eye center, right through the eye center location. See the intelligence now? You see how it comes in formation to its hindline center, graphed its interference in position location of its panels, okay, to its road graph system. Now, this is all calculated and modified. So we get in the XT1000s, they come in positional locations. Let's say they come into the sun line. There's an XT1000, right? Automatically, again, scans the center position of what you're creating. Okay? As it's creating its own dimensional crop circle location of its hindline center. It looks like a donut location. All right? So it's interesting how you look at this and how you look at that. The truly extent how to set these things up in its division to its tactic view. It puts positions back in direction. Okay? So it's very powerful. See? And then it disappears. See? It wanted to show you how it can create a donut circle location of cyclone in offline center in position of back directions and get back into the scanning of its basic location. It does it on its own. So that's a true understanding how you have to, yes, exactly, wiping out your systems, your data processors, communications. your old programs. Delete, 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 delete. But what are you deleting? You have to know what you're deleting through its intelligence. Right? So in communication, you have to understand the integration to your system through box position location to the eye central line. Okay. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 line center, XT1000 line to 8 line in rotation to cross signaling position, box interference location, 12 line position direction. So it's truly understanding that this is all given to you through practical system. But it's important to understand that everything is created through shapes, the grids, right? So what you're doing is you're reconstructing you all over again, okay? Trying to stand the hologram of you, trying to stand the structures of you, right? So you stand in the center. Now, green line center is position location to the heart. You can be all one color because there are intelligence up in position of space line that is one color location. This comes into track location, right? That's you, that's something else, but it's at the same color. Right away, it recognizes your color. It doesn't need to scan because it knows where you are, which is all levels of the heart. So what happens? It comes closer to see you. Okay? So in that calculations, if you're scared through that calculations, you can put up your E-field line center. Okay, I'm just showing you what you can do when you put your E-fields up. All right? So what happens is, okay, the intelligence recognizes position locations and it puts up the same force field line and wants to communicate with you at the same level of frequency to its position. All right? So in position takes you out of line center into electrical light condition of telepathy, one to another. There you go, done by equation. So that's balanced communication right there. Into the male / female equals location of your intent. So it's important to understand how to use these things, but I think it's very powerful when you come into your intelligence. Right? You've probably seen it in a cartoon. But it's mostly understanding that you're just a T reception of a graph, trying to understand the transmitting and receiving the location of its position. How to use your journey as a mission depends on you through memory. Right? Let's say you get a graph screen in position. You got your antennas. Now this is a box locations. Let's say you put 80 in position. Right? So 80 could be anything. 80 doesn't have to be a number. It could be a cyclone. It could be a galaxy interference. It could be a time lock. It could be a time division. Because 8 is representation to you. All you have to understand is that 8 is all levels of you through telepathy. It's your infinity. See? Infinity of the 8, line center of the 8, locations, the eyes. So left position, right position. So you got the sun line and you got the moon line. See? Dark, light. Right? So if I move position, light, dark. So sun's here, moon's here, all to the eye. Change position of direction to its location, changes the levels of fluctuation to its ground system. Okay? So it's extremely powerful when you're just shifting. You're changing colors. Whatever I do with my head, the antenna is moving. Okay? So it's truly understanding how you're using your adaptation from here to here to here to here, right? Or anything around its position of energy field. So let's say you got an 80 track window. Well, what's an 80 track window? What does it have to do with anything? Well, it has to do with the avatar of travel. Let's start there. So it's got 80 position locations, 80 position locations. That's 80 locations of TV reception in position of direction. Okay. Signal in position, setting signals. All right. Setting signals. Okay. Once it's alerted, it comes into its own graph line center. In position of direction, cross signal location is position. There it is. There's the graph. All right. So as the graph is set up, you set up 80 position of TV reception lines. Coloration is the same color of the sun. TV reception, TV reception, TV reception. Coming in communication. All right. So it's all about sonar, communications, high interference line conditions, color in all the boxes of the sun line in the T reception location, because what you're connecting is the theta line center in position of direction, right? So that's 80 box channels of T reception lines into its position of its flux capacitor. It gets more complicated if you really understand the calculations, right? But it's a lot of fun if you understand 80 line position. What's an 80 line position? So see how I'm changing locations, but I'm line signaling across into 644, okay, equals on line center 12 equals 12, which is position location of 144 in high connection. So I'm line signaling 644 all the way to on line center. 144 equals 24, okay, in a clocking system. Okay. So it's interesting how you go from a 24 line center to 48 to 72, 144. If you're staying at 64 to all line interference, your T reception line system is going to stay the same position, location, and direction. But if you don't, and your graph goes up and then goes down, you got a problem. So this is the line communication, 644, right? You get up in the morning, there's 644, right? You were doing well right here, 644. Okay, 644, 644. But then you go down to, 24. What just happened? What happened so fast through a thought line center in 60 seconds per minute? How'd you go from 644 to 24? Now you got to come back up position location to its balance line center back into 644, right? So this is interesting because 644 equals 644. You're just in a different dimensional setting, but in the same signal of its location. Interesting, right? If you want to change your Merkaba to higher line center, you're no longer in 644. You're now in 844, right? 8 position location of telepathy, 4 line position location activation, and 4 location of division, right? And that's how you use your flight navigations from 1 to 12, right? Ooh-ah. So it's important to understand these things, guys. How to balance out your thoughts. Second per second. 60 seconds is a lot of thoughts. In your graph line center, it's so easy to fall from this to this. Now, if you're reverberating interference and you're offline position location, you're off, way off signal, right? So you're no longer at 24. You're now back down to a 12. Oops. So you got to retrack position, back in division, back into 12 plus 12, back into 24, back into 644, back in position location direction. Okay. So you're probably wondering why it's so powerful to actually stay on the line signal. Cross position locations, north line, you got north line position, you got south line position, you got east, and you got west location. Now, this is all you have to understand is your diamond. That's all you have to understand. Once you understand the center of you can travel through location. Simple, right? And then you can high-rise your highline center and protect it more through security. Once you get in that position, you all align the position 12D and A line center to sonar interference location alpha, delta, theta, beta, omega. Then you go into security line defense, 12 line position location and directions. Right? Once you get into that line center, 12 position locations come in this flux capacitor. So 12, okay, times 12 equals 144. Okay, and that's where you start. 144. So 144 comes up to highline center. You can go from 144 to 244 to 344 and up. But if you get up in the morning and you start at 64, try to stay in the balance line positions to its 24 line center. If not, you're going to go back into your 12 position, which is half the line system. You can't travel on 12. You have to travel on 24. So this is what happens when you get in an emotional trap. If you get an emotional trap, now you're caught in the mind of a matrix line interference in position of direction, location, to its highline conditions. And all you'd be doing is position locations to its memory of confusion. So you're locking the signal. You got to get it out of position, go back into 12 times 12, okay, equals 144. 144, this is where position locations minus plus line center in calculations. 12 plus 12, okay, is 24. All right, so as you come into position location line conditions, you're no longer in position location of confusion. You're out of the box line center of the mind. You're not going, So in that position location, the 24 goes back into 644. All right, high centers in position locations gets you in high center and takes you out of equation location to its position. Ooh-ah. Trial position location line condition. So this is powerful stuff, guys, when you have to really understand more levels of you, right? Birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Terry. Happy birthday to you. And many, many more. All right, so it's powerful how you go to that location to its position of northwest, south, and east. This is the basic understanding how to travel. You got to understand your northwest, south, and east before you travel, okay? And once you understand your security defense, then you understand your 12-track lines, then you understand your ground position, power in the atmospheres, then you understand your runways, right? So this is the true understanding why it's so important to get up in the morning and stay at position of where you want to be through acceleration. Okay? If you go back at 24, you have to find a way to get back. If you don't, you're locked in position with location to the mind. Back in sequence. Back in the matrix. The problem is that once you get out of the old matrix, you're creating a new matrix. Because remember, you're no longer in a 3D line. You're in the 5-dimensional location, which is more powerful to get out of, right? And that you have to ask yourself why you keep being scanned every single day is because you don't understand travel, a position of directions to its triangulation. All right. All right, so everybody's in position. Decoy portals, new signals, have pyramid. Yeah, and the thing is too, you guys are not used to this. When you can accelerate to 644 and go right from 644 and time jump to jump start to 844 in a nano of a second, you're getting a lot locations of balance. Okay, so you're channeling more line centers that are going force line rather than going in back line. Because if you go in back line, you're creating position location back into its matrix box position. And you're going to get confused. But if you take it out of the equation, you can go back into 644, right? Or wherever you are. So it's a thought process that's not in position location of a default line. Because if you're going to default, you have to change its position to its application. So understanding how to use that, you have the cookies, the policy, understanding the connections to online system, it's all levels of view, right? Through Windows. You have to close your windows. I mean, this is to understand how you set up your position, location, and directions. So the mind works differently, but it runs its own program. Okay? Once you understand how to run your own program, then you understand the line conditions, all levels of your keyboard. All right? So it's important to understand that. So I want everybody to get into that position locations and create it through your timelines on your pop quiz. So you have the weekend. Monday, it's due. All right. I want you basically understand line center. Let's go into ground interference. So start here. You got your power, and this is what we start with. That's all we start with. Now, it's to understand when you're creating something, you have to have your E fields. All right. Now, your calculation all levels is it's north. Always use that as a reference. North equals reference. Okay, in position of where you are in direction. Signaling here, signaling here, signaling here, or signaling here in direction. Okay, so you come into a line location. So you're coming into your diamond, right? So that diamond comes in position directions. Now, this is to understand how you basically look at yourself through its own calculation, how to go through paradox, understand the paradigm, its all position location of its directions, understand your pillars of light, pillars here in direction. Okay, so once you understand that through calculations, you come into your flux capacitor. Okay, flux capacitor comes in its position locations into high channel line center. Okay, setting up position location of directions, you can use electrical lights into its antenna. Because they understand is that it's connected to the right and the left ear. So the antenna is its communication system, right? Which is opening all cycles of channels in space anomaly. Okay. So it's here to stand, it's going forward in line position in its direction. Okay. Let's say you go through 2 triangle locations or 3 line position. There's 3 line connections, right? And then you go the opposite way location. You truly understand how to go forward and backwards and forwards before you understand anything through timeline, right? Especially if you're creating a time capsule, right? The capsule comes in position later once you understand the grounds and the powers and the atmosphere of you, okay? So it's understanding how to go forward and going back at the same time. So it's like any one atom going this way and one atom going this way. As you come together, you travel through it. Because you've got the right line and the left line position locations, right? So as it comes together, it opens up a portal. All right. So it's true understanding that you have what you need. You know exactly who you are through calculation. Try to use it through channel. Try to use it through vortice. Try to use it through calculations, all levels. Vortice's communication line center is its vector of its velocity. It channels its high line center to its position, location, its calculations. All right. Traveling through it in all levels is all levels of you. All right. Understanding it is all levels of you. Knowing it is a better position of you to know online how to use it through its connections to your memories. Okay. So any questions or comments, let me know. I know it's a little bit confusing, but I really want you guys to understand how to look at your watch and go through your own timeline position locations, right? So you're creating a time capsule, which is going to take you into forward of time, back of time. Back of time is still in the future line. It's not in the past line. So don't go past that interference position location. Try to stay in the avatar line interference. The positive line center of XY line sys location is its XD thousand line connection. So it's always presenting yourself in one timeline, not in 3 different timelines. One timeline is all lines of timelines, all at once. Okay? So every time you're using your thought, you're moving forward in direction location of time. Okay? Which has its existence to its X line center times pi times calculation to its square root box center. All right. So this is how you come into your own capsule, okay, of time zone. All right. It's going to be a lot of fun creating your own time machine. All right. So I'm going to take you guys out. All right, let's go 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Initiate. Back force line center. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now you're back in position of directions. So that was fun. What just happened, how you use it through time frame line center brought you guys back exactly where you're supposed to be, which is what? The now. So it's very powerful when you understand more lines of view. And once you understand how to create your own time machine through your watch, you understand the indication and why it's so important to understand how to go through 12 lines to another 12 lines times 2, 24. Woo, I'm ready to accelerate into 48 to 72 to 144. So every time you look at that watch, it's moving faster and faster and faster each day. Because you're allowing yourself to see yourself more in the future focused location of its clarity. It's very powerful when you can use this through your calculations, how to channel your chakra system, okay, through higher formations of mocking location, right? So, yes, I know, it's so fast. Yeah. So you guys have a lot to talk about, exactly what's going on right now, right? And how to travel through it. True to understand the alphabetical stream is its connection to all levels. So you have the alphabetical line center of 26 line centers location in one chakra location of the grounds. You got 24 line centers of ground interference location of colors. Light force line centers, flight navigations 1 to 12, 4 line connections of seasons, in position of directions, 8 line channel line and interference location of directions, 1 planet surface, 1 membrane, 1 intelligence, 1 location, 1 timeline, 1 clocking, 1 universe, 1 galaxy, and 1 brain interference location of simulation in 1 chakra system. So it's very important to understand all levels of you inside. How to use it is its equation location on its own merits. All right. All right. So that was a lot of fun. Okay. So you guys have the weekend. Monday, we have Zoom. And I want you basically show me how you got in an equation, how you created your own time machine. Okay. Structure and formula at the bottom. All right. Okay, everybody. Adios.